Welcome to She's Healthy, a podcast for ambitious women on their journey to become the healthiest version of themselves. I'm your host, Lori Aikman.
Today on the podcast, I have the privilege of interviewing Morgan Walker. So Morgan and I actually work together. She has been a client of mine. She is going to be sharing her story today. She is 32, going on 33. She is a wife and a mom of 3 boys, 7, 5, and 3. She homeschools her boys and then also has a business as an interior designer, as well as a very, very popular design blog, and a big social media following. I know a lot of people follow and love all your interior design stuff. So I'm excited to talk to her today. So Morgan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, love it, love it. So tell it, you and I were just chatting, obviously, before we hit record. Tell us just a little bit about you and your family and like where you guys live and stuff like that, just who you are.
So we live in Springfield, Oregon, and we're pretty busy all the time.
3 kids.
So,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm with them every day and I homeschool. And then aside from that, we just have a big love for home stuff. Our first house that we got, we didn't have a ton of money, so it was like the huge thing to DIY. And so that's kind of where I got started with the house stuff. And thankfully, I have a really supportive husband. So for the longest time, I did most of the projects. I had the vision. He let me just do whatever.
Yeah.
And then when we went to sell our first house, we learned like, okay, we can make money off our houses. And so it was not only like something that kept us busy and it was like, it became a passion, but we learned like, this is a really good investment. So our next home, we learned a few things and kind of went in and did the same thing. The house was a little bit bigger. And then what we do is we will stay in a home for like 2 years to avoid, I think it's capital gains taxes.
Yeah.
But on top of that, when living in a renovation, there's like a number 1 rule. You're not supposed to like live in the home that you're renovating.
Oh my gosh.
We've done that 3 times now. So we made it through. But I do think along with like the food stuff, the constant stress was very hard on my body.
Yeah.
We had a lot of late nights of like tiling and just, so
demands. And then not to mention having 3 kids that you homeschool and all that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I just have to give you props. Like, and you and I connected through my sister. My sister is also in the interior design world. And I just, I have a sciencey brain. I don't have an artsy brain. Like I can look and be like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
But I don't have the ability. I just think it's amazing the like vision you guys have to like look at a space and be like, well, what if we do this and this and this?
Yeah.
I just can go in and be like, I like it, I don't like it, but I need somebody else to like come in and do the creation. So I appreciate so much.
A lot of people, they usually come to me for that. And honestly, I don't know where that comes from. Like,
no, it's just natural. It's just your gifting,
Yeah. So I feel like I like to use that to help people who don't have it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen women like struggle with their homes and they'll, like Studio McGee and all these places advertise their stuff that they have. So people will just go and buy all this stuff and like throw it together and they're like, this doesn't look right. Like,
That's me. Yeah. I'm like, I need somebody to tell me just like even where to put things and like what to put together. And
for sure.
Oh, I love it. So you started to dive in a little bit. So if you could, and we were talking, it's been a little while since you and I worked together. So it probably feels like a distant memory, but from what you remember, and I will help prompt you because I remember some stuff too, but where were things at? And like, what kind of symptoms were you having, you know, if you remember when you and I started working together?
Yeah, so I came to you because I wasn't feeling like I was getting help from the medical world. Basically, if I can remember, my husband and I actually we had kind of learned more about the food in America and we started listening to podcasts and reading books, and we started eating organic food, and we changed the way we were eating. And I lost weight. I don't know if I necessarily started feeling like great, but I noticed I was losing weight and getting a little more energy. And so, this is another thing I'd like to talk about, but men and women are so different. And my husband is like a huge example to me for like, he's such a go-getter, and he's like, he takes no days off. Like, he doesn't really probably rest as much as he needs to, but he was like my example for like chasing my dreams and working out a ton and all of that. So I started like doing cardio every day, which I'm sure you know about all of that too. Like, I think a lot of women think that cardio is like the way to go.
Yeah.
But for me, I think the big thing was I had all these food intolerances that I learned about with you. But I was still eating those. Even though I was eating healthy, I was eating things that were still like harming me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I was not getting like a lot of rest at night. I would stay up late working on designs. I would wake up in the morning and post on Instagram. Like before my kids would wake up. And sometimes though I didn't have my schedule like nailed down perfectly. So sometimes my boys would wake up and I'm not even like ready for the day. So the stress, like I just had so much stress, like so much going on that I thought I was doing it right. Cause I'm like, I'm chasing my dreams. I'm eating better. Like
doing
I'm
all the things
my husband's doing. And then it was like all of a sudden these major like symptoms just started happening to me. And I wrote down like a list of them to remember.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So
I remember
I had tons of anxiety, racing thoughts, brain fog, intrusive thoughts, paranoia, depression, panic attacks.
Yeah.
And then the biggest one that I went to the hospital for, the ER, was it's called dyspnea.
Dyspnea. Yes.
So it's like when you go to take a breath or you yawn and it doesn't satisfy. Like it's like it's the weirdest feeling. But I thought I was dying. Like I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't, I was listening to all the people saying like do breath work and all these things to like calm your nervous system. And I would try and it just wasn't working. I thought my body was like broken. So of course, Cody took me to the ER and they did all the tests. They did like an x-ray of my chest. I think they did like an ultrasound or something on my gallbladder, like checked all the things. Everything came back normal. Which you talk about is a common thing. And they tried to prescribe me, I think it was something for acid reflux. And then they also tried to put me on like a benzo, like a Xanax or something to just get me through till I could see my regular doctor. And honestly, that all happened for a reason because the bill for that was very expensive. And I learned like I could have took that money, which I ended up investing and working with you, but it was such a waste because they don't get to the root cause. And I just felt like I couldn't like live each day anymore. Like something was not right and I needed immediate help, but there's only like the Band-Aids, like to help you get through until, so anyway, that's when, I think your sister posted something about working with you. And I just had like, I looked over your stuff and I'm like, I trust like your sister and what she shares. And so it made me feel a sense of trust with you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I remember that because I remember you and I want to say we had like gotten on a call, and then like within like a week or two of that is when you ended up in the ER and you were telling me about all these symptoms. And that, I mean, that just had to be so scary, you know, to be like, what the heck? I just am thinking of a woman that I've been messaging with on Instagram, and she's like, I keep going to my doctors, I'm having palpitations, you know, and everybody's telling me like everything's fine, but it's not fine. You know, it's so terrible that women get dismissed like that so much. And I think I want to say you had gone to like maybe a functional medicine clinic that was there near you locally.
I had gone to them like, I think like maybe a year before or like 6 months before everything was happening. And the reason I had seen them was, so I have like a history of like hormonal issues. Like I was basically diagnosed with PCOS because of hormonal imbalance, but I didn't have like any of the other like symptoms like cysts on your ovaries or anything. But I'm going to lose my train of thought.
Okay. Yeah, you told me you had gone to Peak. So you were,
so when every time, which honestly it's by the grace of God that I even had kids because I couldn't even like keep a period. So I went to Peak and it would be after I would have kids and I was breastfeeding. I had the worst, what do they call that? Like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like paranoia. And
like the intrusive thoughts.
Postpartum. Yes. And it was so bad. Like I was just miserable. And so a friend had told me about Peak, and for the time being, like they did help me, but I think a lot of places still, they want to get you hooked on all their supplements. Instead of like, I like your approach with, you know, we did the supplements to like heal my gut and all those things. And then it was like, but we're not going to be on these long term, like, and then we can find a few that will help, you know, fill in the gaps. But so when I would go to Peak, I had tests done and I remember they were shocked. They said like, they thought I was going through menopause because I literally had no hormones like at all. So, you know, I don't understand the way our bodies work sometimes. I think a lot of it's stress, nutrition, our genetics. But yeah, that's why I went to see them before. But it was always really hard to get in to see them. And I really liked how you responded so quickly and you were like there if I needed to talk to you.
Awesome. And well, to speak to you just saying that, so that's something that I see a lot of times, which I think kind of I don't mean this arrogantly at all, but if you're not trained to look at hormones and trained with that functional perspective, I've had a lot of other women. I have another client right now. She's like the same age as me. So because I remember, I want to say our birthdays are close together. So she's like 38 or 39. And she's like, yeah, they told me I'm like early menopause because that's all. It's just, oh, your hormones are low. Your hormones are low. You must be going through menopause early, and just not understanding like that whole stress response and how the adrenals will, you know, your sex hormone output will be like super, super low. That doesn't mean you're going through menopause, and we can get your hormone levels back up, but just we're not something I like to talk about a lot because I think we think, oh, I'm going to go to this doctor or that. Sometimes I have calls with people and they say, well, I've got somebody local I'm going to go to. I'm like, okay, that's great. But unfortunately, not everybody understands that. And so there's so much like misdiagnosis and just not getting answers and stuff out there. So, yeah. So what was, go ahead. Yeah. No, I was gonna say,
something else I was gonna say is something I thought about today, actually, that I was going to talk to you about is why have we not been informed more about women? Because men and women, I think, are very different with hormones and things.
Yes.
We're not given like a guidebook on how we are as a human being and how we function. And then we become adults and we have issues. We go to the doctors and we don't know anything. So then we assume that they know and that they're going to help us, but we haven't been informed, like, so
we don't learn about our bodies. All we learn is like, you have a period and you can get pregnant and avoid getting pregnant, right? That's like all we get taught about our bodies.
Yep. And then if something's wrong, here, have some birth control.
Yeah. That'll balance out your hormones.
Yes.
Well, and I will say, coming from, I mean, I'm not a doctor, right? I'm a nurse practitioner, but even I did a talk. I don't mean this negatively at all, but the medical professionals are not actually taught much about this either. So just because you're going to a doctor that has a board certification doesn't mean they really understand how to really treat women's hormones. Even I follow like some, I get their emails and I follow them on social, like some doctors that are more holistic, just more advanced that like I learned from them. And this one OBGYN, and she's her big thing is menopause. She talks a lot about menopause. And she said, just because you're going to an OBGYN does not mean they know how to adequately treat. And you would think, you're like, I'm going
it's unfortunate. That makes some sense. But
we're just, the training is not there. And if you look at medical research, you look at the medical literature, women were not studied in the medical literature for years. I mean, literally like within the last, I can't even remember the data. It's just like within like less than 50 years have women actually been included in research studies. It just was assumed, well, our bodies are going to respond differently than men. And I mean, I think we can know, like if we can jokingly talk about like our cycles, where men are like this and women, literally our hormones do this.
Yes. I didn't learn that till like in this last year. I've been reading different books, and I was going to share, I now use this app. It's not sponsored, but it's called the Moody app.
Okay.
And I've tried different ones before just to like track my cycle, but this one, like, it's to help support your cycle. So it'll tell you might be feeling this way today. So eat this or do this to help with your like mental. And I love it so much because you'll document, or how would you say that? Make notes of like how you feel that day. Yeah. And then it kind of will say, well, you felt this way last month, so you might feel this way,
Got it.
So I have to say, like, the first time in my whole life, my period is normal. It's always on time. I know how I feel with the different dips and like how I should respond to that. So, and I think that's what women need to be taught, and no one they have no clue what's happening to their body. And month after month, it's like just survival.
And their doctor, and the thing is, they're going to their doctor thinking their doctor's going to help them, and their doctor doesn't help them either, and it's not, I don't mean that as like there's inadequate training too. I mean, I literally had a conversation with a family physician. I did a talk in a group last week or the week before, and it was with a group that's like in like a fitness membership or whatever kind of a thing. I don't want to like say names. Yeah. But there was a woman that was on the talk that was a doctor. And so she's a family physician. And so then she scheduled a call with me and we were talking about it. And she felt in the same boat that I was years ago before I started this, of like, I don't know how to help my patients, like there's something missing here, and I'm not trained how to really, I'm doing all the things my training taught me, but my training is falling short of actually getting my patients results. So, So tell me, and I remember like you, especially talking about the PMS, I remember you saying that that being a really big thing, because it was almost like your husband kind of knew like,
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a rough week because of where you're at in your cycle. So how, maybe speaking to that or just anything else that like just kind of your transition and how things improved in our time together.
Yeah, so I feel like that still is a thing. And sometimes I'll even like screenshot my app that says this, I'll be feeling like I don't want to talk to anybody today.
Yeah.
I'll send it to him at work and he's like, woo.
He's like, okay, noted.
And like I've learned, and there's this other book that I've read. It's called Biohack Like a Woman. And it talks about how ovulation is like your superpower.
Yes.
And I've noticed I just love my ovulation time because I feel like a very healthy woman. Like I want to be with my husband and I want to like set new goals and just do all the things. And it's like my favorite time of my cycle. But also women who are struggling, I don't think they get to really experience that because for me, it was like I felt horrible all the time.
Yeah.
Because my hormones were so out of whack. It was never like, it was so unpredictable.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to ask me.
No, it's okay. No, I was just asking you how things changed. And I'll just interject just because I like to set realistic expectations. I've put a couple posts on social media lately about like, just watch out for the quick fixes. Because something I find as when I'm working with somebody is I have to coach them through this time where something we don't know about. So our so much of our hormone production comes from our ovulation, comes from that follicle that's released. And to improve that, those last 100 days. So when we start making changes, we're not really going to see the full effect of those for like 3 months. I know for
saying something like that.
So for me as a coach, there's like this, and practitioner, whatever you want to call me, just there's this time where I'm like, like stay with it.
I think it's because it has to be because too, like social media and our phones, like everything is so instant gratification. And yes, with what like I went through and you helping me, like the end result was the best thing ever, but it took a lot of time and you just have to like keep going forward. And little by little, you start to see some changes. And it made me think about your question too. The biggest reason that I needed help and change wasn't just the breathing stuff. That was like getting in the way of life, but it was my brain. Like my brain health was so bad. And I was sick of people telling me like, oh, mental illness just runs in your family or and again too, like nothing against people who do take antidepressants and things if it's helping you and it's getting you by. Like I remember being so miserable, I just needed something, but I was too afraid to do that because I think back in high school I tried like Zoloft or something and I had the opposite effect and it was very scary. So I never could do that. And then once I started learning about the gut brain connection, I was like, I've got to try this. And 100% it is so true. And I don't have any of those symptoms anymore.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I mean, and I think I love how you made that point, of so many of us like, well, this is it's just your genetics. It runs in your family. We kind of like these little things that are like, that's just how your body's going to be, and sorry, that you should just accept it
I guess there was something in me that was like, I can't take that for my answer. Like, I want to live free of like taking medications the rest of my life. And I just, when you're growing up too, I mean, maybe other people have struggled with like major health stuff their whole life. But I mean, I remember as a young girl how it felt to feel healthy and no huge issues. So it was like, that has to be a thing. Like I have to get that back.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And not just, oh, you're a mom. Oh, you're getting older. these things happen.
You say those things on your Instagram and your reels and stuff. And I have been told that. I've literally been told that many times.
Yeah.
Like, you're just tired. You're up with your newborn all the time. And it's just, and I mean, it is a lot of hard work, but
yeah, of course. Yeah. When you don't sleep, you're going to feel like crap, but yes. But then there should be a point where you do feel better.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So how has like just, you've talked a lot about like things that are different in your body. And I know because you post on your social and you have a very big social following. I mean, your weight loss change. I think that always like catches people's eye too,
Yeah. Which sometimes I feel like that's why right now I don't really know what to do with my Instagram. And it's hard seeing what other people are doing and not like hopping on what they're doing. But
yeah,
I want to like share all of the things rather than just home sometimes, because I feel like health is like a bunch of different things. And I do see people, they like that. I shared a reel of my like transformation and all of that, and it went crazy. And yeah, I think people really need help.
Yes, definitely. What would you say then has been just that, like the biggest effect in your life? Like, cause I remember the other thing that was something that happened when we were working together is that your son had surgery.
Yes.
Your son had a really big surgery, but just like maybe how has the things that have improved in your body just affected your life, your marriage, your parenting, your now business, you guys are like taking on new things and stuff. So,
yeah, I definitely feel like it's going to be much harder to like chase your dreams and your passions if you don't feel good. Like the saying, like health is wealth. I feel like that's so true. Because if you don't feel good, like you're not really going to treat people good. You're not going to parent very well. Like that's something that I really struggled with back when I wasn't feeling good. I was just a stressed out mom all the time, and I wasn't a very nice mom. And so I think, where do I go with this? Okay, what was your question again?
That's okay. No, just like how improving just how your body feels and like getting like, cause you've talked a lot about like anxiety, being a thing in the past. So just how that has impacted your personal life.
Yeah. I definitely think mental health it's the physical and the mental. Like I remember feeling like trapped in my head and like I just couldn't do anything. So I think another thing I wrote down was like so when my husband and I first got married, we had marriage counseling right before we did like a thing with the pastor, and our motto was to thrive, not just survive. And that has just stuck with me forever. And he said something like, I want to see you guys in 10 years walking down the sidewalk, holding hands and thriving and like still in love with each other. But basically, I just have always felt like you're meant to like live your life and be happy and thrive and follow your passions and all those things. And when you're not well in your body and your mind, like you're just kind of stuck and you're in survival mode. And I think you've talked about things like your vagus nerve and that goes together as well. So you're basically stuck in like fight or flight. You're not relaxed. You're not, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, like I was telling you before, like it's been like over a year or so that I don't even really think too much about how I felt before. And I'm so focused on the future and I do feel good. So I think the biggest part is being able to have energy, mental clarity, and those are two big ones. Because I know a lot of moms struggle with the feeling tired all the time. And that's how I felt after I would eat. I wanted to take a nap. Like, and I didn't know why, but I was just tired.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah. I think, I mean, to sum it up, you know, I think getting your body back, getting your mind back, feeling that, just what I see of you, you guys like made a lot of changes then afterwards. And I remember talking to you and you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to take a new direction in my business, but just still kind of, like I hear that. That's something that I hear from, clients, is that like once we get them out of survival mode, right, they're able to just like take on new things now and like do the things that they've been dreaming about, or because now they have like the capacity to actually do it, and the energy and the drive to do it. And I mean, just from a sciencey standpoint, I mean, our brain chemicals, are so impacted by all that literally people like those are brain chemical deficiency. We have low dopamine levels and stuff like that. And when we get that back up, I just love to see that, like, women just, I feel free to live my life, and like, I remember another client just said they went on this like huge road trip, like RV road trip with their kids, like at the end of our time together. And she goes, I enjoyed it. Like, I would have been losing my mind, because during our time together, it was over like 6 months or so, just, issues would come up with the kids that she would tell me about, and just being able to not, be stressed out all the time, because, her hormones and brain chemicals were normal in her body. Like, that's how we should be living every day. So, yeah. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about like, because people should definitely go follow you for your design stuff, just like what you guys are up to. You were telling me a little bit about, what you're going to be doing in your business and stuff like that.
So one thing I wanted to touch on with the health stuff, and I feel like we had talked about it, is stress is a big part of the health stuff as well. And there's another book that I read. It's called Gut Feelings. It's pretty popular right now. And the doctor, I think, is Will Cole. And he talks about like the number one health problem, or all the health problems usually come from gut problems and stress. And I think now stress management, like a lot of us weren't taught that growing up. I don't know why. Like my husband and I always talk about like coping skills, and like now we have to teach our kids how to like calm down and deal with stress, and because we really taught that. But I've learned with having a business and a family and a husband, like you've got to keep like everything in harmony and balanced, or one thing just kind of gets out of hand and then you start to be stressed out. So I learned the other day, I'm a very mindful person. Like I think about, well, why did this happen? Or what can I learn from this? And I'm learning with stress, like it's a big one. And it's not just the gut stuff, but like women just can take on too much. And we're in like the modern world now where all moms are working, women are working, and we have to learn how to manage our stress and balance things well. So what I'm getting to is the Instagram thing and doing all of that. Like I've decided, unless I like hire extra help with that, I just I can't keep it all together, because the social media stuff just keeps changing. And you have to be so engaged to get your stuff seen. And so basically my focus is redirecting to my husband and I, we're going to flip homes now. And I may or may not document it sometimes, but we really just want to help families thrive. And I think that we've learned through renovations and living in the renovation that your home environment is also very important to your health. And right now homes are so expensive, but yet they're like complete dumps here. So I feel like people are either not buying, or they're buying a piece of crap and they have no money to fix it up. So our goal, like, I hate saying the word house flipper, because our our business name is Divine Restorations.
I love that.
It's kind of a spin off of My Divine Home, like more grown up. So we're going to restore homes and then sell them for a price that somebody will be, happy to pay it because they'll be getting a home that's finished. And another thing we've talked about is possibly staging them a little bit and selling the furniture with the house.
Oh, awesome.
So then it's just completely.
Yeah. Then you don't have to. Yeah.
If you're paying top dollar, it's all there and ready for you. And
yeah, I love that idea. That's a great idea.
I want to make a difference rather than, I don't know. I mean, Instagram was fun for a while and I still love connecting with people and sharing my passions, but we're like ready to like start making a bigger difference. So
that's amazing. I love it. I love it. And you have a talent for it. You've already flipped a lot of homes, right? Your own homes.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if, like, I guess necessarily saying that we flipped those homes because we lived in them for like 2 to 3 years at a time. But
it wasn't. Yeah, it was like over a longer period of time.
But yes, that is what we did, and that's something that like I'm also passionate about. Is I don't know how to like dabble in this or whatever, but helping people become debt free. Because that's what we did. And I also think that's a big part of health is, with the financial stuff and you don't feel free. And I think that's a big thing that's going on right now.
Huge stressor and like economy changes. And I mean, that's like the number one of the top reasons for divorce, right? Is financial strain. And yeah, definitely. When I do talks and things like that, I go through like, here are some stressors like that could be literally impacting your body. Yeah, I know. Yes, totally. I love that. Awesome. Well, okay. So your Instagram may or may not shift, but so people want to come check out your stuff. Yeah. On Instagram, you are at My Divine Home. Yes. And then your blog is mydivinehome.blog, correct? Yes. And then you also have a like to know that we'll post below. I'm going to have to check that out I was posting today about, I need to decorate it just doesn't need to be too,
which
not distracting.
I was going to give you a few pointers, like sitting in here, like just having something, but don't overdo it because
not distracting.
Needs to be on you.
Yes. Well, I posted about those, like there's some pictures on Etsy, but they're like kind of more neutral colors. So like they wouldn't be, I don't think they'd stick out a lot. I don't know, but people might be looking at them going,
Is it like a mural or wallpaper or something?
No, they're these, it might not be good for a background. It might be just fun for my office, maybe on a wall that's not seen. But they're like, it would be like the thyroid, but then it's like flowers.
Oh.
Or it's like the uterus and ovaries, but it's like this floral design. So it's really like pretty and feminine, but it's like,
I like it because it's something that you like and part of your thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I talk about hormones. We talk about hormones all the time. So I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. I'll have like, the different ones. So we'll see.
I think
I'll have to, maybe I'll send you some. I'd be like, what do you think of this? Awesome.
My notes and see if there was anything else I wanted to share.
Okay. Yeah. Love it. Oh, and if you want to share, you do the, like glandular supplements from Heart and Soil.
Yeah. So that's a question I get all the time now. That's something
what do you take?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me now, like, what are you doing? Like you just seem way different. And I love getting those compliments, but it's not only just for me. Like I want this for other people. So I like hope that they will start asking me questions because I want to share like the good news with them.
Yeah.
But Yeah. So I think when we first started working together and I did some of the tests, I was intolerant to a lot of foods. And then it was the leaky gut thing. So basically now I am, I would say, carnivore is a big thing right now. And I think that's a very like strict label for it, going strictly meat. And that's not what I do, but I'm animal based. So we are more meat focused for protein because I have found with how my brain works, I just have done so well with that being my protein. And we stick to like grass fed, grass finished, whatever we can really find. And then I would say I'm half like paleo. I don't do vegetables anymore, and I don't have to. I don't really want to explain why because I feel like I could go into a lot of things, but that's why I take the Heart and Soil supplements. Because they're from cow organs. And a lot of like science behind that they're very like rich in nutrition. And so I just consider it my vitamin.
Vitamin. Got it. And you have a promo code. So we'll put the link for that in the show notes. And if they use that link, they get 20% off if they
correct.
if they use that link.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's
Thank you for sharing that.
Nature's multivitamin.
There you go.
So yeah.
Love it.
Yep, that is what I'm doing now. And so far, I feel great doing it this way. I don't feel like super restricted. This is something I'm teaching my kids, is only consuming things that like love you back or nurture you. Nurture is like a big word that we use. Like, does that food that you're about to eat, is that going to give you nutrition or not really?
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's wonderful. I love it. Nurture. That's a great way to look at it. Are you nurturing your body, your heart, your mind, your soul?
Well, and I feel like that's something, we were never really taught that. I'm sure I heard here and there, like, eat your vegetables and like, try to be healthy, but it was never like each food that you're consuming, is this going to be good for you, for your brain, for your body, or bad for you? And that's a big thing in our house now.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I'm excited to follow the journey. If you guys do post it on social and just I think, more of like, I think people love to hear the health stuff too. They want to, you already have a rapport, with your people that follow you, and I'm sure they would love to hear it. And like, just think of the influence you have, right?
Yes, for sure.
And sharing all that. So
yeah. Well, when I have shared stuff, I feel like I get a lot of people reaching out. And this last time that I shared that video, so many people were asking like, how do I work with Lori and what do I need to do? And I'm like, yep, like send them your way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I've gotten on phone conversations. I've had clients, that are like, oh, I follow this girl. Like sometimes it's funny. They may not even remember your name. They're like, I follow this person on social, and it's funny. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they're a little like apprehensive to working with somebody in like a different state or online. And so they feel a feeling of trust with me. I can say, yes, I've worked with you and you're a real person who knows what you're talking about, so.
Having that referral source. Yes. I'm more likely to work with somebody that I know someone who has worked with them before, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Morgan. And again, I'm excited to follow along your journey, and it's an honor to be a part of your journey too. And it's fun to look back at your transformation, and just amazing that you're like, right, I don't even remember.
I know, it's so crazy to just reflect on how long it's been, and that like I'm better now. That's the way I look at it. was not thriving.
Yes. Yes. Love it. You're hand in hand with your hubby, doing your big things. I love it.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
all
you
right.
for your help. And
Yeah.
I'm very glad that I found you.
Yes. Yes. Love it. It's again, it's so fulfilling for me to be able to help women clear the clutter, understand, just go like get hope again. Like your divine restoration, right? We're divinely restoring, women's
Yeah.
health and their hope too. So
Yeah. Well, I think people need to see that it's possible. Like,
yeah.
I remember telling Cody, like, I don't really want to share what I'm doing yet or these things, certain things yet, because I want to wait till I get to that point where I'm like, this isn't like a back and forth thing. Like I'm healthy and I'm going to continue to keep going this way.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is working. And so there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. I just thought of it.
Yeah.
I had mentioned the cardio back when I was doing cardio and I was
Yes.
feeling good. I
Yes.
feel like now I have learned, like, with the health stuff, that if you're not doing good internally, like with your gut health and everything, I think what really put me into that, like all those symptoms with like the breathing, was putting more stress on my body with the working out.
Yeah.
And so I think getting healthy first, like getting your gut healthy and getting rid of those food intolerances and all of that,
Your
then
hormones.
you should start working out. I think a lot
Mhm.
of people don't really know, they see people on Instagram like sharing these workouts and do this and do
Yeah.
this. And I like 100% feel like if there's so much stress on your body already, doing cardio, it just like killed me. It was not good for me.
It is. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have clients where unfortunately I have to be the bad guy. I remember this one in particular. She was like, I was just about to sign up for, it was like a half marathon. And I was like, yeah, let's postpone that like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like give me 3 months and we'll revisit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think women here, okay, I need to exercise more to lose weight. And then if I lose weight, then I will have more energy and I will feel
Yes.
better.
Which I
Right. So
also
it's
feel like, I mean, that is an okay desire to have, I think, to lose weight and feel good about yourself. But I think with the world we live in, it's like my main focus is losing weight. I think
yeah.
once you focus on the food thing and learning what your body does well with, the weight will just come off. I personally think that. I feel like that's what I've seen in myself. And then also, once you get healthy and you've lost weight, once you start incorporating, like, so this is what I wanted to share is every day now, I either walk on my treadmill for like, I either do like 1 to 2 miles or I will do like weightlifting.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And I feel like that's when I started seeing more change as well. But you have to like get to this point where your body is no longer in survival because it wants to like store fat or whatever.
Yes.
So once you figure out your stress management, your stomach stuff, your gut, and then start to get into that like gently.
Yes.
I think it works. And then the other thing I was going to share is I actually started trying to get into running because my husband does marathons. And
Yeah.
I
I've
just
seen your
thought it would be
post.
so cool to like go on runs with him and like that would be like our little hobby. And I was getting up to like 4 miles at most with him. Like he would be nice and just run with me because he's much faster than me.
Yeah.
I would be fine and I could do it. And then it was so weird. The next like week or so, I was feeling so hungry all the time. I was feeling super tired. My stress level was like the whole thing was off. And then I would miss my period. Like
Oh,
everything
yeah.
would go out of whack. So
Yes.
I've tried that 2 times now. Like I would go back to my normal ways and then I'm like, I really want to run again. And I would try and then I would miss my period again and have
Yeah.
symptoms. So I personally, again, think that men and women's bodies are different. And I would love to talk to like a woman that does run on the regular or maybe does marathons, because I'd like to know, like, do you have periods or, like, how are your hormones? Because for me, it like puts my body into like survival mode. It's like, what are you doing to me?
Well, and there is some genetic component there. There's some people who I think all women need to do at least 50% weights.
Yes.
So no more than 50% cardio. There's some women who need to do even less cardio than that. And that is, we actually see that in the genetics.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah. I just, again, I had my husband's example of like, well, you're not feeling good and you want to quit, just keep going. Like,
keep going.
Just keep doing it. And like, that's what I tried to do. And it just did not work for me. So I feel very healthy now with just doing my like speed walking on the treadmill. And I do it before my kids wake up, and it helps me have a better day. And so I just want women to know that I think sometimes it's like, what is that?
Get off the
territory. Like, I don't know what I should be doing or how much. And I just do like 30 minutes every morning before I get going. And I feel like, I don't know, it must have something to do with cortisol, but it actually calms me, and I have a clear mind, and I think it's good. So
wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Yes. And that's so true that, so many women are like overdoing it. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Morgan, for everything, for your, everything you've shared, for just letting us in on, your experience and just all of that. And definitely go follow Morgan. Huh?
Thanks for letting me share. I've been wanting to share this stuff for a while, so this was perfect.
Yes. And definitely go follow, go do some shopping on her like to know, all that good stuff. So